Hello folks, this is Clay Enos, and in this video we're going to learn how to add a copyright notice to your photographs. And we're also going to use this opportunity to demonstrate how easy it is to record a macro, so that every time you want to do that, all you got to do is click a button and boom, your copyright notice is there. So the first thing that we're going to do, though, is open up our file. And I've got a file that was already open, so it'll be in my Open Recent list over here. And I'm going to open up this guy right here. And here is a photograph of a barn outside of Xenia, Ohio. And you'll see down here that it's 5,000 pixels wide. Now, here's the thing. When you are doing type layers on top of photographs, how well that type layer looks will depend upon the resolution of your image, and then the resolution of the next image you apply it to. So, for example, if I decide that I want a 800 pixel wide photograph to have a copyright notice that is 4 points high, and then I take that layer and apply it to a photograph that is 5,000 pixels wide, then I may not even see that layer, because 4 points out of 5,000 is a whole lot smaller than 4 points out of 800. The layer will be there, I just may not be able to visually see it. So I find that for most things for the web, 800 pixels wide in the largest dimension is a good size to use. And so I found by trial and error that 4 points is a good size to use for something that's 800 pixels wide. So as part of this process, we're going to create an action to do this automatically, and then we're going to resize the image. Now, next thing we have to do is open up our actions palette. You'll notice up here at the top there's all kinds of different ways and workspaces that Photoshop calls it, in which you can design your Photoshop workspace. I usually use the Essentials, and when you do, you can click on this little icon that says History and open it up, and you find the history and the actions are loaded into the same palette. And if you don't have that, or if you're in a different workspace, or you just don't know where the crazy thing is, you can always go up here to Window, select Actions, and it's going to open up your Actions palette regardless of where you've got it located. And you'll see here I have this action set called Clay. And in that action set, there's a whole bunch of different macros that I can run. If I am in this standard way of viewing actions, I can click on any one of these things. I can click this run button, and everything will then execute in that action. But the actions palette has a really neat feature. Once you've got your action developed, rather than do it that way, you can view your action palette as in button mode, and then your actions are all just buttons. To run any one of these actions, all you got to do is click one time, and boom, whatever is in that action will automatically be executed. So to record an action, though, and to develop it, you have to get out of that and go to the standard mode. Now let's create this action set called Clay. Let's create a new one, and we're going to call it Demo. To create a new action set, which basically is just a folder with actions in it, we're going to click on this third icon from the right in the bottom of your Actions palette, and that's the Create New Set icon. And I'm going to call this set Demo, and we'll type in Demo, hit the OK button, and now we've got this action set called Demo. Now there's nothing in it yet, because we haven't recorded an action. So let's do that. We'll click the Create New Action button, which is the second button from the right, and we're going to call this action a capital CR for copyright. I'm doing this the hard way with one hand, CR dash, and it's going to be a white font, so we'll call it white. And we're going to have, as part of this action, resizing of the photograph to 800 pixels, so we'll put a dash 800 there, and we'll hit record. Now, from now on, you see this little button down here says record. From now on, everything we do in the way of Photoshop procedures will be recorded then as this action step. So let's just go ahead and close this, get out of our line of sight. So the first thing we need to do is resize this image to 800 pixels in the widest dimension. And so this is a landscape photo, so we'll go Image, and we'll go to Image Size, and we'll choose the width to be 800, and the size will automatically, the height will automatically adjust to whatever size. Now in a moment we're going to show you how you can set your action up so that it'll stop here, and if it happens to be that you're looking at a vertically oriented photo, you can make this 800 instead of this one. And we can click OK. Now if I go back and look at my action, you'll see here's the image size. It's part of the action. And so now I'm going to hit Control 0, And if you don't know what that command is, if you go over here, Window, and you look at, View, you'll see that to fit on screen is Control-0. That makes your photograph fit to whatever size your window is. I'm working on a pretty small window for recording this video. Now let's select our text layer tool, which is over here in the Tools palette, Horizontal Type tool. Click on that. And we're going to change our font to a Times New Roman font, which should be right around up in here somewhere where we hide. There we go. And we're going to make it a bold italic font. We're going to make it 4 point. Now, the first time you select your point size, you'll find that the lowest point size you have is 6 point, unless you've already done one smaller than that. So the first time you'll do it, you'll just highlight everything in here, click 4, hit the Enter key. That sets it to 4 point and also adds it to your list. So next time you can just select it from your list. We'll leave it as a sharp rendition, which I can't tell the difference between all these different types of categories as I'm looking at these copyright layers. And white is already selected, but we're going to click on here anyway and say, give it to me as white. And now we're ready to do our layer. So we already got the text tool selected. Let's go here someplace where we're going to actually see the white type as we're typing. Click once, and you'll see that it's ready to be inserted there. Now, to insert the copyright symbol, if you're working on a keyboard that has an actual separate numeric keypad, you can hit Alt-0169. Hold down the Alt key and hit 0169 on your numeric keypad. Hang on a second here. There's the copyright symbol. If you're on a laptop and you don't have a separate numeric keypad, you can't do that. So what you have to do is go to your character map thing in Windows, select the copyright notice symbol, and copy it and paste it into this field after you are ready to start entering. So we're going to say copyright, and I put a space, 2011, and the name of the photographer is Allison. This is my wife's photo. L-I-S-O-N-B-A-N-D-Y-Enos. I hope I spelled it right or she'll hit me. And there we go. Now we've got our copyright notice there. We hit the text tool and that unselects everything. And you can see it over here as a layer. Now all I got to do is move it wherever I want. But I'm done with my macro. That's everything I need for my macro to record it. So let's go over here and let's stop the recording of our action. And you'll hear me refer to actions as macros all the time. That's because I do a lot of macro programming in Microsoft Excel. And in Photoshop, they don't call them macros, they call them actions. So at any rate, here we go. We've got our action now. Now, what I'm going to do is click on this little guy right here. And what that says is that when I do my image size in this thing, when it gets to this step called image size, it's going to stop and let me change anything that's displayed there. That way, if I've got a vertically oriented image, I can type the 800 in the height direction instead of the landscape direction. And something that's extremely important before I do anything else, I want to save these macros, or next time I come into Photoshop, they're going to be gone. So I highlight my, don't highlight the actual action, highlight the action set demo, go over here and say Save Actions, and you'll see here's Clay, here's Demo. I've already got Demo there, so that when I click the Save button, it's going to ask me, do you want to overwrite it? Well, yeah, that's why I'm telling you to do it. And so there it is. So now we've got our action set saved, and we've got an action under Demo called Copyright White 800. Now let's move this down to where we want it, which is right here. And you do that by clicking the Move tool, and you're actually moving the whole layer. It's just the only thing on the layer that's visible is the actual text. Now, in order to show you how easy that is to do, let's get rid of this layer. Let's go to button mode. Let's add a copyright notice just by clicking this button down here, and it stops. Yeah, this is the proper place to put it. If we want 800 in the width, we do that. We hit our Move tool, we put our action down, and we're done. The only thing that's left to do is to collapse this thing and save it. And that's the subject of another action. See? Flatten size 800, and we'll talk about that some other time. Thank you very much.